Welcome to Sip and Thoughts, and today my special guest here is Mr. Jeff. Jeff, we have an interesting relationship because we actually met probably 4 or 5 years before we became friends.
Yeah, so it's not really an interesting relationship, but it's an interesting history because of that.
Well, the funny thing is, I met you through Lifeblood, the metal
Yeah.
band, and
Yeah.
then I got to know you, and it was like, you don't see metal band often. That's what's funny about
Yeah, I don't exude metal band.
it. You're not like hardcore grunge.
No, that's not necessarily my personality. But if you think about it, or if you've ever seen metal bands outside of the context of on stage, they're usually not that way. They're usually like chill, flip flop wearing, dad joke telling goofballs. Unless they're like hardcore into it.
Well, but it just
those guys just take themselves too seriously.
you're like D&D.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
That's
I'm
like
full on
opposite.
nerd.
You're like opposite end of the spectrum.
Yeah, it's true.
I think that's what made it funny because you're like yeah, I'm gonna play Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm like, oh, okay. But I mean, so I met you for the first time. What was that? 2011, probably.
Somewhere around there.
Because I think I was about to go into 11th grade. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it would have been 2011. And
Honestly, you probably remember that night a lot better than I do, just because of the chaos of being on stage and having like whatever kids around.
well, there's two things that helped me remember that night. One, it was my birthday,
Oh yeah,
and you guys gave me a
True.
free hoodie.
I remember that. That was awesome.
Second, you were talking about the boxes that you stood on with the lights in them.
Oh yes,
It was your first time using them.
Yes.
So I remember
yes,
that.
we had just built those. That was. They added a lot to the show, honestly.
They did. I had seen you once before, I believe, at
Um,
Savage.
Yeah. You'd seen us once before. Honestly, playing at Savage, that church over in Savage it was a lot of fun every time we played there.
'Cause you did third Friday and their second Saturday, didn't you?
I think so. We only did that a couple of times though.
Phone calls.
Yeah. We didn't play there very often, but we did play there a few times.
Did you ever play Savage Fest with
No.
Ashes Remain? You never played Savage Fest with Ashes Remain.
No. Our friend Tim, he played Savage Fest with Ashes Remains one time.
With Ashes Remain or in
Not
another
with.
band? Okay.
At the same venue as Ashes Remains. If I'm remembering correctly. That may have been someone else.
I know that has to be hard. That was
So long
over
ago.
15 years ago.
So long ago.
Because I graduated 2012, and I'm on my 11th year anniversary. So you're thinking probably 13, 14 years ago.
Yeah.
And how old were you at that time? That's the one thing I never put together because I was 17.
In 2011?
Yeah.
See, I was 18 in 2006. So add 11 years to that. I was 20.
No, not 11.
No, not 11.
It's, 4
Yeah,
years. 4 years. Because 2012 would have been 6 more years. So it's 5 years.
5 years.
Math isn't our strong suit.
No. Math has never been my strong suit. 11 years? I was like,
Yeah.
no, that's now.
We're only 13 years away from
Yeah,
that.
I know.
So
So 5, 18,
25,
20,
26.
23?
Yeah, you're right.
23. Yeah, it was about 23.
So you had just hit the legal age of drinking.
Yes. Yes, I'd only been drinking a couple of years at that point. Not like I ever drank serious.
Did you go to college?
I did some community college, a couple of math courses that I passed, but were never accredited because in order to get to the accredited, I had to pass high school grade, and I never passed the high school grade math courses, algebra or pre-algebra.
Okay.
So I took those, and I took a couple of music courses. Intro to Music Theory, Theory 101, Theory 102, and a vocal course. But other than that, I didn't really do any schooling. I'm terrible at math.
Terrible. I know. I get that. I hated math, but I loved science. Which, tell me how that works.
Yeah, it's obnoxious. I love learning things about science and through science because it's a process of elimination and a process of adding to see what happens next.
Yeah.
It's a patient process of building on what you know and also taking away from what you know in order to find out more.
Yeah, and I think just the discovery of not knowing and then finding it out is always fun.
Yeah.
But
math is.
But shortly after that show, I believe you guys went on tour, didn't you?
Yes.
You went to Texas.
So we had done several different tours. Few local deals. One that took us from Pennsylvania down to South Carolina and back up. Those were just small. We put them together and we did it over weekends kind of things where we do a short road trip down, come back, do a short road trip down, come back. But the real tour that we went on was with excuse me. That's the problem with sipping.
That's the problem with sipping it, especially soda.
Especially
and it's
soda.
like room temperature. So yeah.
So it's like extra carbonated. No, so we went on tour with a band called Spoken and another band called Burning Yesterday. And that was a 3-week tour that we went on. And from Maryland, we went down to Texas. And because the first stop on the tour was in Texas. No. The first stop on the tour was in New Mexico. But we played a show in Texas on our way to the tour. From New Mexico, we went all the way over to California and up and down California for a week. And then we came back through Nevada, New Mexico, Oklahoma. And we played a show most every night on that tour. And it was one of the best experiences of my life. First off, getting to see that much of the country. Second off, getting to meet so many great people. And we spent the entire time just hanging out, goofing around, playing music, something that we love, like deep in our souls. Being able to express ourselves and share the love of God through that. It was incredible on every level. I got homesick because my parents put this sappy note in my in my luggage, and I found it like
more than a month though, right? Away?
Huh?
How many weeks away were you?
It was only a 3-week.
Oh, okay. So not quite a month, but
yeah, not quite a month. Almost a month. We did take a couple more days than 3 weeks to do it, but it was mostly it was just the 3 weeks. Because that's how long the tour was scheduled. And the tour was called the Lion Tamers Tour. because of um, there was an energy drink company that was sponsoring the tour.
That had been cool.
It was cool because we got free energy drinks the entire tour.
That sounds unhealthy.
It was very unhealthy. It tasted a lot like Red Bull, but it had some differences. But overall, very similar flavor. But yeah, they were sponsoring the tour through Spoken, the headlining band of the tour. And throughout the tour, we stayed at various people's homes, and we've stayed on the floor of various churches, and, and it was fantastic.
Now, all right, I want you to be honest now.
Yeah.
If you had the opportunity to do it again at your age, do you think you could do it? Like physically? Or do you
Physically,
think
could I do it? It would kill me. Oh my gosh.
Sleeping on floors just aren't an option no more.
Well, with the state that my body is in currently, it would kill me. I would have to go through
training.
Yeah, basically training to get into better physical condition to be able to play even a 3-song set at the energy levels that we were playing at, and B, just being able to move after sleeping on a floor.
Okay. Question 2.
Yeah.
Is there any chance of a Lifeblood reunion anytime soon?
Highly unlikely. The two primary guitarists that we had both live in Texas. Our drummer, he has moved all over with his wife. For a while, they lived in a mobile home, traveling. I'm not positive where they're living now. I think they're back in Maryland, but I haven't really kept in touch with them. But me and our lead singer,
yeah,
Jeremy, we still hang out all the time, and we still work on little music projects together. We also just hang out to play board games and role-playing games.
Role-playing,
RPGs. We do a podcast called Bone Throwers Theater, where it's an actual play podcast where we record ourselves role-playing. And we go through the game, and then we have a commentary episode every 4th or 5th episode discussing what happened, what our theories are for what's going to happen next, who had the best role-playing, who brought the best snack, who had the most character development during the current story, just stuff like that. It's a lot of fun.
Okay. So I want to actually ask you another question, because recently I've been sending you outrageous D&D ideas. I'm sure you've seen the videos.
I've seen those videos, yeah.
Any of the ones I've sent you, have you gone, I gotta try that?
A couple of them I have. There was one that I saw recently. I don't remember if you shared it with me or someone else did, but it's actually something very similar to what we have done in the past. It was the idea was to basically build each other's characters' backgrounds. So the way they were doing it in their little TikTok or whatever was they explained it the way that we did 2 different kinds of campaigns. Jeremy actually put together a campaign where everyone woke up without memory of who they are or what they could do, but as you played, you learned what you could do. Like what skills you had based on how well you did at them. How many dice you were able to roll for it or whatever. And the other one was you build each other's characters for each other. There's actually a game called Fiasco where you do that every time you play. You build each other's characters based on prompts that they have in the booklet for whatever the idea for the story is. Like there's relationships and goals and objects and things like that that you choose for the other players around you.
Okay. We continue with the roleplay because that's one thing I've always actually wanted to do. I wanted to test out playing like a Dungeons and Dragon campaign.
Oh yeah.
It's just consistently doing it, and I know if you don't
There's
consistently, it's kind of boring.
So you can do one shot campaigns where it's just a short mini game. You can either do a 1-day thing or like a couple of weeks.
Is that I might have to try that.
Yeah,
then.
yeah. We actually a lot of times when we record, we do one shots where we just take 1 day and we play one short campaign of whatever game. It's usually a game that we want to try out and see what the rules are like. Like we did a Zorro campaign. We do Fiasco a bunch. There's this one called Spectres where you do paranormal investigating stuff. We did a game called Gren where it basically a haunted suspense kind of situation, horror story stuff. And there was another one called 10 Candles where you get 10 tea candles and you light them as you go, and once they run out, everyone's dead. Like,
okay, that's interesting.
It's a horror story game, and when we played, it got ridiculous. At one point, my character ripped his own arm off to stop the monster from getting any further, and then a tentacle grew out his back end.
Your character sounds like a true hero.
It was awful. He died a horrible death.
That does sound terrible.
But yeah, it's just short one shot. It takes a day, several hours. So the way we do it when we record about an hour's worth at a time, or if we're doing one shots, we do half hours worth at a time. And then we take little breaks in between for snacks and stuff, and then we come back to it.
Do you do a lot of pre-production with that? Like, as far as maybe you personally, you kind of think of, all right, I know what the basic of this story is. Let me try to think of some good ideas, or even some crazy things that might throw everyone for a loop and make them have to adjust on the fly just to make it entertaining.
We don't do a whole lot of that just because we like doing the collaborative storytelling thing, where we see what happens when we're in the moment. Sometimes we come up with ideas of what we want our character to do for the next part of the campaign or whatever, but we really only do that for the main campaigns that we do, like the long overarching ones, the ones that we come up with theories for, and we have all these like in-depth backstories.
Good backstories and always.
It's just a lot of fun.
So I have an idea for a game that I want to do, and it's off a game that me and you've played a lot together.
Yeah.
With Kyle and all of them, and I'd love to get us all together and do a weekend of it.
Yeah.
And I'd love to do a one-night Ultimate Werewolf, but it's the whole weekend long.
Ooh.
So no one knows whose cards, but as the weekend goes on and you're living normal, you play the game.
Oh.
So
Ooh.
if you're, for example, the Tanner, you want to be picked. You want to act suspicious so people start worrying.
Yeah, so that you can.
If you're so instead of listening to the voice, you just can use your ability. Like the seer can use it once per day, so maybe it's like a 3-day thing. Once per day, he can walk up to someone and be like, "Let me see your card."
Yeah.
This
sounds like a really, really neat idea.
I thought it would be a lot of fun. And then the thing of like, if he sees the werewolf, once per day the werewolf gets to kill someone, but at the same time, if the seer he can't be like, oh, well, I kill you now, but it gives the seer might have to end up hiding the rest of the day and be just hiding in a closet somewhere, trying to make sure he doesn't get seen by any of the werewolves.
True.
And all the werewolves wouldn't know who's another werewolf.
It would have to be a weekend with a full moon, though.
That would be fun. I think that would be a lot of fun.
That would be a lot of fun.
I think, because I've been talking. I saw OC and Sarah a few weeks ago, and I see Kyle on Sundays, and I saw Jeff. Not Jeff. You are Jeff. I saw Tyler. I saw him this past Thursday, because I went grocery shopping, so I get to see Tyler. And I've told everyone, like, we gotta get back together. It's been a while now. I know obviously Kyle and OC are a little busy planning weddings. Yeah. So. But
Sarah's kind of tied in with OC's stuff.
Yeah, so I figured we'll wait a few months, maybe around Halloween might be a good time to do this.
Yeah, that might be a good time.
But I figured like a 1 or 2 day, or even just a 1 day thing where you play the entire day.
Yeah.
And you just live life. So you still go out to eat and do normal things, but you just kind of slide in the ultimate werewolf throughout the day.
Yeah.
Would be so much fun.
But we'd have to, like, if we did it for 1 day, we'd have to designate time periods as each day for the point of the game.
Yeah, because I think everyone would have a lot of fun with it.
Oh, yeah.
2, it adds a whole new aspect to this game now.
Oh, yeah.
Like, because even as a werewolf, you have to start being worried because another werewolf could kill you accidentally because you don't have the phase where you kind of look and go, okay, that's a werewolf, that's a werewolf. It's literally no one knows.
Well, unless we did the initial setup of... We did the run-through of the whole setup where you see who's who.
I think that takes some of it away, though.
It would help the werewolves to coordinate.
But I kind of like the fact that they could kill each other.
That does...
It adds a whole new aspect to the game.
But would they kill each other? Or would it just confuse the heck out of them when they didn't die?
Oh, that'd be another thing if you couldn't actually kill them, but they're not allowed to say, oh, no, I'm not dead.
Yeah.
So you think you killed him, and then he walks back into the room?
Yep.
I don't know how you would do death, because it's not like we're going to be like, well, you're dead, go home.
Yeah.
That would be rude. But maybe you have a room that's where you go to.
Maybe.
And you got to spend that time in the room. It'd probably be like if it's at a house, we do it in the living room. That way it's kind of somewhere common. But if you're always in the living room, people are like, oh, they're gone, they're done. But yeah, I love Ultimate Werewolf. It's a great game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we'd have to invite Brad and Courtney, because I think those were the first two that we played with.
They would definitely get a kick out of doing that.
But so back to your story, though. That was just a quick side note. I thought about this, and I was like, I think our group would have a lot of fun with it.
Oh, definitely.
But so 2011.
Yes.
I officially meet you, because that was the first time I think I actually had conversation, like acquaintances at least, before I saw you play, and that was about it. The reason I remember that day, that following year, I'm wrestling and I dislocate my elbow and have to get rushed to the emergency room.
Yeah.
I leave all my stuff at the school, obviously.
Obviously.
That Monday, I realized I don't have my hoodie anymore.
Oh, no.
I have no idea where it is. And I haven't seen that hoodie since. I never saw the hoodie again.
Sad.
Yeah, it is really sad.
It was a nice hoodie.
It was comfortable.
Yeah, we did our research on comfortable clothes when we ordered our products.
Because I still have the shirt that I ended up buying from you guys when you guys played with Project 86 at that small church.
Over at the Mac.
I believe so.
When it was further up on Route 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I still have that shirt. It's somewhere upstairs, to be honest.
So the Mac is actually where I go to church now.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
in Columbia, right?
No, it's over south of Crofton.
Okay. There's a Raising Cane's over in Crofton.
Yeah.
They're building it across from Krispy
they're
Kreme.
building it. Yep.
I really want to go because
It's actually right down the road from there.
Yeah, I hear a lot about it, so I'm kind of like,
Yeah,
go.
I drive by it all the time for work because I do deliveries for a liquor store. So I'm driving all over Anne Arundel County all the time.
Yeah.
And I see it and I'm like, when is it going to be done?
That's the thing. Like, next week you'll look one day and it won't look finished, and then you'll come back the next day and it'll be done. You'll be like,
yeah.
When did this happen?
And they have like 20 cars out the wazoo, and you're like, what?
When did
What
that happen?
I didn't see any signs.
Yeah, so it's weird the way construction works around here.
Mm-hmm.
But so that's why I remember that. And then what passes? Probably 4 or 5 years, 2011 to 2016.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so 2016, I show up at First Baptist of Laurel, and
you're like, hey, I know you.
I was like,
and
you
we're
look
like,
familiar.
You look familiar.
Right? And like, I don't even know. Actually, the first time we may have not even noticed. It may have taken some time.
Yeah, it took a couple of meetings for us to be like,
but I think that once
where do we?
Yeah, but it was one of those things. I think it's, when you look at someone, you're like, I think I know them, but I'm not gonna say nothing. That would be weird.
Yeah.
And then I think we started hanging out, and it got to the point where we're like, all right, if it's weird, who cares? And
Yeah.
like, at this point, we're friends. So
Yeah. Yeah, it was after games at the branches
Mhm.
a couple of times, and you were like, Lifeblood. And I was
Lifeblood.
like, birthday.
Birthday, yeah, exactly. It was Lifeblood and Birthday, and we just remember. I still have your albums. Actually,
So good.
they're upstairs in this big. Do you remember like the boxes that you used to hang on the wall, and they had all the CD slots?
Yes.
I have one upstairs, and your album's in there.
Oh, nice. Very cool.
Probably right under Reliant K, 1,000 Foot Crutch, which I'm like, you're probably feel honored to be. You're with 1,000 Foot Crutch and
Yeah.
Reliant K. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, good.
I'm not the biggest fan of Reliant K, but I respect them.
But yeah, so honestly, if it's alphabetical, because I did alphabeticalize, it's Lifeblood. You may be between Reliant K. Yeah, because it's probably you guys at
If you
the
had
top.
Life House, then we'd be right next to them.
Yeah, I don't. But you're in there with Under Oath and 1,000 Foot Crutch and all of them.
Nice.
The few CDs I still have.
Very nice. Yeah.
I know who would be above you. Dead Poetic.
Oh, nice.
Another good band that
Yeah, they were good. They only had a couple of albums coming
Two?
out, but they
maybe 3.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 mainstream and then one that.
they had 2 full albums and maybe a EP or something.
Yeah. But
they had some good songs.
then let's talk about our first trip together.
Ooh.
Do you remember where it was? This is the first time I think we spent like an entire day as a group, and it was Hershey Park.
Oh yeah.
And that was the longest day of my life.
The road trip up there and the road trip back, you guys got lost like 3 times. Who was navigating? Was that Kyle navigating?
Kyle navigating, Tyler driving.
Tyler
Tyler
driving.
just got his license,
Yeah,
remember, and he was terrified.
Well, he had it for a while, but Tyler doesn't normally drive outside of his
It was
comfort
pretty
zone
much like his house and
areas.
work.
Yeah, his house, work, church, places like that. Very localized.
And it
The furthest he had been prior to that was Baltimore.
Yes. And it was also the day that OC realized we were friends.
Yes.
Even though we had been hanging out for like 3 weeks already.
She was like, "Are we friends?" And you're like, "What do you mean?
I'm like, I had you to my house.
You've been over." That woman is hilarious.
She is.
She's so naive on so many things. It's almost weird, but it's very endearing.
Yeah, you're like, okay, cool. You just accept it at this point.
Yeah, you do. And she knows it's hilarious. She
Oh,
finds
yeah.
it hilarious herself.
She does.
Which is a good thing. Otherwise, she'd be mortified about everything she did.
Yeah. But I rode with Kyle, Tyler, OC. You rode with the Branches?
No, I didn't ride with the Branches.
Or did you go up with Johnny? Or did Johnny go?
No, Johnny didn't go that time. Who did I ride with?
Was it Tim and
No, because the Alcotts came up separate.
Yeah, because Jesse was with them. That's the first time I got to
Yeah.
meet Jesse.
Yeah, the Alcotts came up with Jesse.
You walked.
Did I just come up separate from everyone else?
Did you?
I may have, and just listened to my story the entire drive. I mean, I do that all the time.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me if that's what I did. But we went to Fuddruckers afterwards.
We did go to Fuddruckers.
Yeah, that's like a branch tradition. They go to Hershey's and they stop at Fuddruckers on the way home, and you know that's one of their many traditions that they do when they do their trips.
It was good.
Yeah.
It was a fun time. There was probably, 20 of us?
Yeah. Yeah, something like that.
I had fun hanging out with you guys, but it was one of the worst days of my life. I literally left work at 6 a.m. I got off and went straight to PA with you guys.
That's right. You were
I was
like done.
dying. I had been
done.
up for almost 48 hours straight by the time we got home.
Yeah, I remember that. And you were just like a corpse walking around.
That's when I had the most interesting interaction with OC, because we were talking, and apparently I fell asleep in the middle of talking. And then woke up and kept talking like nothing happened. And 2 hours had passed, though. I don't remember 2 hours.
Oh my gosh.
And the weird part was she didn't call me out on it. She just accepted it and talked to me like it was normal.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I know.
That's
I was
beautiful.
just like, why did you say anything? That is weird.
Well, I mean, if you were asleep, she wasn't going to wake you up.
You're right. She was very polite about that. But I just passed out and then woke up and was like, yeah, and this and that. And apparently, like, I started exactly where I ended off. Like,
So it was like halfway through the sentence, and
yeah,
you just
shut down.
2 hours later, yeah, and just finished the sentence.
I don't know how I did that.
I don't.
That's the importance of sleep there. My body said, no, you're going to bed.
Yeah, that is the importance of sleep. You will, if you do not go to sleep regularly, you will A, lose your mind, and B, physically shut down.
Yeah.
Like, hard. You will get sick, and your insides will be like, nope, not going to work anymore. Your muscles are just going to be like, I'm releasing everything.
And then 6 months after that, you made a decision that probably changed your life forever, and you moved in with Kyle.
Oh, yeah. I was good times for 3 years.
I think, I'm sure it was. I mean,
we got along for the most part. There was like one or two things where we were like, meh, but it was never like, rah, rah, rah.
Yeah, you
It was
just had
like,
slight differences, had to learn to adapt.
yeah, definitely. Well, that's anyone.
And then
but
that's also how I realized that you love your garlic.
I love garlic.
Do you know the story of your garlic and me?
Yes, I do. I do. You were like, is this Old Bay? Yeah.
With garlic? After I'd gone through 4 other spices with garlic, and I was like, well, we know Jeff will never get bitten by a vampire.
Nope.
He bleeds garlic.
Garlic and I are well-acquainted friends.
But then our next trip, obviously we had tons of game nights.
Yep.
Like a lot, pretty
Yeah.
much every weekend.
Pretty
Friendsgivings.
much,
We
yep.
had 2 Friendsgivings at your place.
Yeah. 2 Friendsgivings at our place.
I got snowed in at your place.
Yes, you did. That
Fun
was
weekend.
That was hilarious. There was the weekend where you guys went on the stargazing trip, and you came back at like 2 a.m, and I walked out, and everyone was on my living room floor.
And I was
and I
under
was
your
just like-
table.
Yeah, you were under the table. I was like, hi.
Yeah. I gave OC the air mattress, and
Yeah.
the only place left to sleep was under the table, so I just took it.
Yep. Hey, gotta sleep where you can sleep.
And then the next trip after Hershey was the camping trip to West Virginia.
Yes, where
Which-
we rented out a cabin. everyone pitched in, and we did the whole weekend of
That
games and fun.
was
And
so much fun.
it was a lot of fun.
One of the highlights of that trip, and I'm sure you remember, was we get there, right? So you guys had just come back from the store. Me and Kyle and Lauren had kind of set up the actual place for us so that everyone had their spot. And then Tim takes my Bop It, sits in the corner, beats it, and then joins us back. Like he just completely
destroyed.
disengaged.
He disappeared for like an
25?
hour and a half
Yeah.
or whatever, 30 minutes, whatever, how long it takes to beat it. He's just sitting in the corner doing it. And then all of a sudden he comes back and we're like, what happened? He's like, I beat it.
Beat Bop It.
I beat Bop It.
One, I didn't know you could beat Bop It.
I
didn't
didn't
know there
either.
was an end.
I didn't know there was an end. There's an end.
There's an end to Bop It, and Tim's the champion.
Yeah.
Then we started playing ping pong.
Yep.
It got intense.
I was not involved in the ping pong because I was on the search for firewood to keep everyone warm because the heater wasn't working right.
Yeah. And then the toilet downstairs stopped working.
Yep, toilet downstairs stopped working. The place was not very well kept.
It wasn't. No, the AC, we got it working. We just didn't know how to use it at first. So the heat worked. We just were.
It took forever to warm up above
It was cold that weekend, though.
65 degrees. It took forever
In,
to warm up
in
above
their
that.
defense, it was cold that weekend. Wasn't it? It was like 5 degrees. It was single digits. Remember, we were supposed to go hiking, and we ended up not going because it was just so cold.
I personally didn't think it was that cold, but everyone else was like, it's freezing. And I'm slogging up and down the hill trying to find down trees and logs and throwing them in the wood stove.
It was cold. Me and Kyle and Edgar got yelled at that weekend
Yeah.
because we were making hand puppets and talking to each other.
Is that what you were doing?
Yeah, I was on the floor, so I put my hand up and was like, "What's up, Edgar?" And Cheryl yelled at us. She's like, "Go to sleep."
That's hilarious.
And I was like, "I'm sorry, guys. I work overnight, guys. It might be 1 a.m. for you, but this is early for me."
Yeah.
But that was a good trip, though.
That was a good trip. That was a
I
lot
think
of fun.
that was like one. I can say that trip was one of the crucial bonding points in that friend group.
Oh yeah, that one and the one to visit Nathan in Southern Maryland.
I don't think I went to that one. I worked. You guys left Friday evening. I worked that Friday.
Oh, that's right. You weren't able to go to that one.
Mm-hmm.
That was
I
a
was
crucial
coaching.
trip.
I was coaching
Yes,
wrestling.
you were coaching
so I had
wrestling,
a tournament
yes.
the next morning too.
Yes.
That's why. Because I was like, why didn't I just take off?
Yeah,
But then I was coaching. So
but that was a crucial weekend for some of us. It was very emotionally intense weekend for some of us. It was the intent of the weekend was to get closer to God individually and as a group, because we went with our Bible study. It was so we did Bible study together. We got together and we prayed together, and we discussed what the Lord was putting on our hearts, and we even did a little bonfire out by the water. But the entire weekend, it was so hot and so humid, and we were staying in a place that did not have air conditioning.
oh, that sounds bad.
So I was like trying not to stick to myself while sleeping, and but it was a fantastic weekend. Just the growing and sharing and learning that we did.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that you missed it because it was really good.
But shortly after that was when I came over, because we used to have great debates, sitting at your kitchen.
Yeah, good debates and deep conversations.
Yeah, it was,
regularly.
It was, and then there was Risk.
Oh yeah. Risk.
We were risk like connoisseur. We all and I almost conquered all of Europe with just 2 pieces.
That's right. You had a major comeback out of nowhere. We were like, how did you do that?
Because remember, I fortified South America.
Yep.
I had you in America trying to push in, but I had my borders shut down. And then you guys left that 1 piece in England, and I had a 15 piece play. So I had 15 new players, and I was just like, I'm putting them all in England.
That's right. You traded in your cards, and you were like, this
And
is
I just
it.
started the conquest, and England just went on a raid, and that's when I started singing Africa by Toto, and I just conquered the rest.
Yes. That was a good game.
And then Kyle was in Australia by himself. He had no other help. He was just surrounded by Tyler, and he kept attacking, but he couldn't get in. That was a great game.
That was a good game.
I'm so mad we didn't get to finish, though.
I know.
That was one that, like, I really wish...
I took a picture of it and everything. I was like, we're going to finish this game, and then we never got back to it.
Yeah, it just...
Was not in the cards.
No, it wasn't. That was towards the end, I think.
Yeah. It was towards the end of mine and Kyle's shared living situation.
And I think just everyone kind of hanging out in general. I can't put anything on it on why it happened, like why it ended.
Just life.
You think?
Yeah, mostly it was just life. We all started going to different churches. That was the big thing. We started going to different churches. Our schedules weren't matching up anymore.
That's true.
Kyle was looking for a house, and I needed to move out elsewhere, and it was just a lot of different life happenings.
Tim moved away for a little bit.
Yeah, Tim moved away for a little bit.
Yeah, you're right. It was just a lot of...
It was just life.
And then, obviously, COVID hit. And that
COVID
that
hit
really
and just shut everything down.
Because then we weren't even seeing each other. Because every once in a while on Sunday we'd have lunch or something. But after COVID, it kind of really just shut it all down. And
man, it's really been that long since.
It's been almost 5 years. It's crazy to think.
Wow, that is crazy to think.
I mean, we did a lot in like a 3-year span.
Oh yeah, we did. 3-4 years.
Like I think generally it was like we all would work, but our focus was just like, oh, we're all gonna hang out this weekend.
Yeah, or we're all gonna hang out that night.
Yeah.
Just
because even Friday volleyball.
Yeah, we did First Fridays for a while.
That was always fun.
That was always fun. We did volleyball. We did game nights. We did whatever.
And then we did Sunday frisbees.
Yep.
That was
Sunday. We did frisbee and
ultimate frisbee.
Then we'd hang out afterwards, either get food or play
that
games
group
or whatever.
kept us in good shape because we were very active.
Yeah, it was. Those were really good years.
They were. I think generally it was like.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I think towards the end it was the beach trips were about the last events I think we did.
Yeah.
We went to Rehoboth Beach, and.
Yep.
That was interesting.
That was very interesting.
Those police officers, man, they were so angry for no reason.
They had a reason. It wasn't a very good one, but they had one.
I'll tell you, I went online. It does not say no shower in any of their rules. It doesn't say it anywhere, so they just expect you to know something that isn't there. And then that guy was like screaming at his girlfriend. She was more worried about us trying to
that was
wash off the hand. It was so weird.
That was ridiculous.
It was so weird. And then Hannah the Rebel, who just went in and changed anyway.
Yep.
I just felt like they were really like, it wasn't like we were being loud or anything like that. We were just,
Yeah, just
I don't know.
Cleaning up, getting ready to go home.
Yeah. I mean, it was kind of our fault Thomas got yelled at because remember we kept putting more soap on him, so it took him way longer to wash it out than.
That's true.
Like it was definitely our fault, but yeah, it was. We'll have to take the blame for that one. But yeah, that was probably the last time.
that we've really
Awesome.
had people together to hang out. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we've done a couple game nights here and there since, but not with our group. Just two or three of us here and there.
And then you moved away, which obviously.
Yeah, I moved away, which put a damper on things too.
Yeah.
I moved to Kentucky for the better part of a year, 9 months.
Yeah, it really just shook everything up.
Yeah,
But
shook me up. So that was something that. Do you mind if I share?
yeah, go ahead.
So that was something that I should have done much earlier in my life. So when I was in my early 20s, shortly after leaving Lifeblood, about, I guess it wasn't my early 20s, but like, I don't know,
28, 29?
25,
Yeah, okay.
mid 20s. I was, God told me that I needed to move to Kentucky for whatever reason. Originally, I thought it was to go to seminary, and he even provided a way for me to do that. He provided everything that I needed. I had contacts out there. I had a means of affording the school and a place to live. He provided all these things, and then I didn't follow through out of fear, out of laziness, out of whatever silly human reasons I had. And then I ended up wasting what God had provided me on stupid things and on things that I had no business being around. And I spent it on people that I had no business talking to. And I squandered it. I squandered the opportunity that God had told me I needed to take. And that destroyed me for a while. And throughout all that time that we were hanging out, God kept kind of tapping me with the finger, saying, hey, remember I told you to do that. But I kept ignoring him for a long time. But a year after COVID started, so 21.
Yeah. Yeah.
2021.
Was it 21 or 20?
Yeah.
Did it start in 19 or 20? Because I always get confused.
It started at the tail end of 19. So 20 was the big shutdown.
Okay, the shutdown started in 20.
Yeah.
Okay.
It started happening at the end of 19, but 20 was like the world was shut down for an entire year basically.
Okay.
So 21, after I essentially lost my job, I had gotten another job before I lost the job, but I'd gotten another job, and about 3 months into that, God was like, hey, listen, you need to go. I have no idea why I needed to go. I still don't know why I went. But I needed to go. So after 3 months at a job that was paying well, that I was good at, that I was on the fast track to being promoted through, God was like, hey, you're going to Kentucky. I don't care. So I searched for a way to be out there, a job, a place to stay. I looked for cheap apartments. I looked for anything I could do. But then my mom presented the idea that I live in my parents' old camper since they were getting a new one. And I was like, that is a brilliant idea. So I looked for campgrounds, and I found one within a week that was long-term camping, long-term parking. So I was able to stay there for a month at a time for a rate. And then I moved out there. Didn't have a job, didn't have friends, didn't have anything. Moved out there with the camper, and I just lived the best I could. And I went to several different churches, and I got a job at GameStop distribution center out there.
You worked for GameStop.
I did. It was awful.
It's not everything it's racked up to be.
No.
Because, you know, everyone makes it sound like it's a dream job.
It was a warehouse job. It was packing product. It was moving product. It was receiving product. It was
just a warehouse job.
It was just a warehouse job. It was.
But was it really like that bad?
Yes and no. The hours were from like 4 until or 5 until 2.
Like 5 a.m.?
Yeah, 5 a.m.
okay.
to 2. Or it was from 3 to whatever time of night, and then there was that was the overnights or whatever. It was and then they had the weekends. But I mean, it was always really long days because it was mandatory overtime constantly because I was working over the season, and once seasonal pay is done, they dropped it $2. So I started working for this amount, and they dropped $2 off of it.
That's not good.
And I still had to work mandatory overtime, which was, so I was working 10 plus hours a day, 6 days a week, basically. Every once in a while it would be a full 7 days a week.
I never understood mandatory overtime because overtime is supposed to be optional by protection of federal law. So how can you mandatory it?
I don't know. But they scheduled us those hours, and it was just exhausting and relentless, and the seasonal pay thing was so frustrating because I was like, hey, I'm making a decent amount, and then I wasn't making a decent amount.
I understand that 100%. I definitely get that.
But while I was out there, I caught COVID because it went around.
It was going everywhere. Yeah.
It was like
weirdly enough, I didn't catch it till after
the 4th or 5th iteration of the virus after it had mutated 4 or 5 times.
Okay.
Is when I got it. So it wasn't like the original.
So you got it probably a year after 2022-ish, 2021, 2022?
Yeah, around there.
Yeah, that's roughly when I got it. Once they started taking off restrictions is when you got it.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's when I got it. But shortly after that, I developed heart palpitations.
Okay.
And that put me in the hospital for about a week straight.
Mm-hmm.
I still get them every now and again, but they did all sorts of tests. I actually went to the hospital 4 times while I was out there just for that. Yeah, I was working, and then I would feel lightheaded and dizzy, and my heart would be racing for no good reason. I would just be walking down to my station and standing there and my heart would be like, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, what is going on? And it was awful.
I'm sure. Yeah, that sounds terrible. Have they found now they know, or that just they give you medicine to regulate it so it doesn't happen?
They did all these tests to try and find out what it was, and it boiled down to not getting enough oxygen to my bloodstream. But what they did was they gave me some blood pressure medication to help level out the heart part of it. But there's really not a lot they can do about getting enough oxygen in. I just have to breathe. But it's not like they can inject air into my veins.
But that's why you came back.
Because that would kill me if they did that.
Yeah.
But that's why I came back.
I was gonna say we do have much better hospitals around here. Some of the best in the world are around here.
Yeah. I haven't been to the hospital since, but that was why I came home, was because I figured it was better to have heart issues around family than all by myself.
Yeah, if something does happen now, there's at least someone there that's going to be like,
yeah,
you good?
Yeah. Not that I didn't make some really good friends while I was out there, but...
Were you in a small town, or was it like a city?
I was mostly in Shepherdsville, which is a half hour south of Louisville.
Okay, so not a small town. It wasn't like there was only like 100 people, but
yeah, no, it was like Laurel versus Baltimore.
Okay,
you know,
it was a suburb.
Yeah, it was a suburb of the city.
Okay, that makes sense.
So I mean, it wasn't like desolate, but it wasn't the heart of the city either.
Okay. And so now you're back here.
Now I'm back here delivering liquor.
Hey, that's not a terrible thing.
It's not a terrible thing.
You don't have to worry about job security because I don't think liquor is going anywhere.
No. I do need to be a better employee, though.
In what way?
Mostly timing. I've always been terrible with my timing. Primarily getting there on time.
Do you deliver to houses?
Yeah, I deliver to houses. It's actually rare that I deliver to businesses or companies or anything.
But it's usually, I guess, if they're having like an event or something, you'll deliver order.
Sometimes I'll deliver an order to an office building or like a restaurant or something. But in most cases, 99% of the time, it's to houses.
And is there like a range?
Anne Arundel County.
Just Anne Arundel, okay.
There are a few exceptions where it goes up a little bit into Baltimore, and there have been a couple of exceptions where they took it to DC a couple months ago.
That's far.
Yeah, that was a very special occasion. It was one of the owners of the company. His daughter was getting married.
Oh, okay.
So it was like, that's an exception.
Yeah, you're gonna make an exception. But
and the reason that we do sometimes get up into Baltimore is because we have a location up in Towson.
Okay, I get it. That's cool, man. Yeah. What was it like? What is it like now being back? You know, things have changed.
Yeah, things have changed.
You know, people are married now that weren't married before. No, people that live together are no longer living together.
Yep. Everyone's
kind of been off doing their own thing.
It's been interesting this past couple of years. Yeah, it's primarily I have been trying to get myself together, which has been an awfully hard task.
Well,
but I rarely see anyone, honestly. I saw Sarah and OC last weekend for the first time in months since Sarah's wedding.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I do find it. I find it funny though, because like one thing COVID has done, and I don't know if you feel the same way. It's hard to care about certain things as much.
Yeah, it's interesting.
When everyone's at the threat of dying, you start just not caring about certain things that you're like, I probably should care about that a little bit more.
Yeah.
But you're just like, what's the point?
Yeah, it's weird how it kind of sank in subliminally though. You didn't think about thinking about that before, but now you're just like, I don't care about that.
I think the best way I relate it to is like, ever when you meet older people, they just have that thing about them.
Yeah.
Where they understand my life is coming towards an end. It could be any day now.
Yeah.
They're in their 70s, 80s. They're like, any day could be it. And they just don't care about certain things. But the problem is when you get that when you're in like your 20s and 30s, it's hard to like continue to improve your life.
Yeah. I mean, that's the price of living through several history-altering events.
Yeah, because it's like, what's the point in like? For all I know, next week would be
our
it.
generation has survived so many historical events.
I think, especially in this area,
a short amount of time.
Like, because you grew up. What county did you grow up in?
I grew up in PG County.
You grew up here in PG.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So we grew up with
the
DC Sniper.
Yeah, DC Sniper.
9/11 because they did
9/11.
crash into the Pentagon.
Yep.
COVID, the earthquake of 2012.
Yep, the earthquake.
We don't get earthquakes, guys, so that's why that's a significant thing.
Yeah.
We've never had an earthquake. 2012, we get random earthquakes.
Yeah, there was like 4 of them that year too.
Yeah.
Most of them were tiny, but there were.
I was
a few
always asleep weirdly.
But there were a few that were like really, really powerful, and we're just like, my initial thought when the first really big one came through was, this building isn't designed for this.
Yeah.
I was like, I could die.
Well, and then after you moving to Kentucky, I'm sure you realize this, and me living down in Florida, when it comes to political matters, it's extra here compared to over there. It's not that bad. Like 2008 shutdown, it was like mass panic around this area.
Oh yeah.
Like you thought the country was about to fall.
Oh yeah. The shutdowns elsewhere, it's just like, it's a week off.
When I was in Florida,
shutdowns here, it's like, what are we gonna do? Do we get jobs? Where's our jobs?
So when the government shut down in 2014, 13, 14,
yeah,
I was living in Florida, but obviously I still had all my friends here, so everyone was talking about it. But like people in Florida were just like, "Wait, what?" They didn't even know the government shut down.
Yeah.
So like, those type of events are escalated living here.
Yeah.
And it adds whole lot of stress because obviously everyone's kind of stressed of like what's going to happen, and then you're just like, we're kids and we're like, oh dear God, the world's ending.
Yeah.
Like the world is coming to an end. And then, like the DC Sniper was, what, 2 months?
Yeah. That was...
Like, I was walking home from school, so...
Yeah, so was I.
Yeah.
Just walking home from school every day, worried about a sniper driving by, shooting people out of the back of a van.
And I think it was the one in Hyattsville? Was it Hyattsville? It was when it kind of...
Hyattsville and Beltsville area.
That's when it kind of sunk in to be like, oh, this is close. Because when it was in D.C., especially as a young child, D.C.'s like so forever away.
So far away. Except
even though
that I live like
minutes.
a 5-minute walk from the edge of D.C. But.
Yeah. But then like when you start hearing like Beltsville and Hyattsville, you're like, oh, I go there on a daily basis.
That's where I live.
Here
And what got me about that was... the school I went to, Northwestern, at the time.
Okay.
They had just built a brand new building a couple years prior, and the entire front of it was glass. So you could just see everyone.
Mm-hmm.
In between classes, you just see everyone. So they were like, all right, everyone stay away from the windows as much as possible. And you're just like, how? The entire front wall is windows.
Yeah, and then...
It was... I was just like, we're all just gonna get shot on our way to class.
Yeah, and then I'm in 5th or 6th grade. You have to think at this time.
Yeah.
Because you're in high school. I'm in like
Yeah.
elementary school. No recess. Outdoor recess.
yeah.
Everything's indoor recess.
Yep, indoor
Um,
recess.
You know, they're like, you know, they're as you're leaving to go home, they're like, make sure you walk straight home. Don't stop anywhere. Go,
Yeah.
go.
Yep.
And you're like, oh my gosh, like what is going on?
Of course, I was in high school, so me and my friends didn't think left or right about it. We just
You just go
hung out-
home. Yeah.
We just hang out and walk the streets like normal.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I think even in elementary school, I was like, I'm chilling with my friends walking home.
Yeah,
We're good.
But yeah, and then all the various school shootings and
We don't have those around here, though, really.
no, but they affect us still.
They do, but like we really don't have those.
No,
I don't. Has there ever been a school shooting in the DMV area? Like,
not like a mass school shooting. There have been shootings at schools, but
but
not
that was
like,
more gang related, and
Yeah.
it wasn't typically during school hours. It was like
No.
that night, and
Yeah.
then when we came in the next day.
Yeah, there have been bomb threats though.
Yeah, but they're always fake.
Yes, but you have to take them seriously
My
and
senior
evacuate the
year,
school.
2 girls called in a bomb
Oh
threat
my gosh.
because they wanted to go home early, not
Yeah,
realizing that
that's-
they're going to get caught.
Yeah.
They weren't very clever. They called off their cell phone too. Like it's not even like
Oh
they
my
used the
gosh.
payphone.
How?
I was like,
Oh my gosh.
People
be dumb.
yes, they really do. They just don't think about how easy it is to track someone's cell phone.
No, they don't think about how easy it is.
But I think our like me and your generation, because I mean you're 6 years older than me. How old are you now?
I'm 35 now.
You're 35. I'm 29, so you're 6 years older than
Yeah.
me exactly. And I consider us practically the same generation
Yeah.
because our
We're
generation.
still millennials.
Yeah, but I changed millennials once the internet comes out. So once that 1996 come out and Google's a thing now,
Yeah.
I'm like, you guys are a whole nother like dimension of human because you grew up with nothing but the internet.
Yeah. Yes.
Like,
That's Gen Z, and
well, but technically, I think it's 90 2000 starts Gen Z, and they consider the rest of the 90s. But like that back gap, by the time they were conscious of understanding what was going on.
so according to that, you and I are both Gen Z, even though we're millennials.
I don't know. It's weird.
It's a weird.
Because at 1994,
Arbitrary.
1995, if you meet someone from both of those generations, they're almost night and day. I'm a
Oh, yeah.
94 kid, and I'm sure you've met kids born in 95, and they're way different,
Oh yeah.
even though it was only a year apart.
Yeah.
But, like,
it's-
I remember getting our first computer, dial-up.
Mhm.
It was set up right over there, actually. Our computer set right there, right next to the laundry room. And pretty much all we had was pinball and mine.
Yep.
Like, those 2 games were all I needed.
So we had a computer a lot earlier than that because my mom worked for various government, not government, but like businesses where she needed a computer at home. So,
Okay.
like she works for the Red Cross and she needed to be able to do work from home. And I don't remember where she worked before working at the Red Cross, but either way, we've always had a computer at home, and we always had like a couple of games for the computer. It was our first computer was obviously an old Macintosh.
Wow, I haven't heard of Macintosh.
I mean, Mac is
Yeah, but
Apple is Macintosh, but yes,
referring to it
as
as
a Macintosh.
Whew.
That's
That's
that shows you how, yeah, it was big old CRT cube that was this big, and we had
weighed 130 pounds
Yep.
to carry.
yeah, and we had Duke Nukem and Wacky Racers.
Oh, I remember Wacky Racer. I was too young to play Duke Nukem. My parents would not have let me play that. Duke Nukem was, I guess,
we
this
weren't allowed to
generation's
play it
equivalent.
either, but at the same time, we played it because we had it.
I look at Duke Nukem as this generation's Grand Theft Auto. Like it was very similar.
It was
Even though-
violent. It was foul language. It was monsters and
Sex and
yeah. I mean, it was a shoot 'em up monster game.
But so we got our PC, and then at that time, my uncle was living with us, and he's roughly my mom's age, so pushing 50-ish.
Mhm.
He had a Super Nintendo. So I grew up playing, obviously, the Super Nintendo, and then my dad got a Sega Genesis, which I still have, actually. I have the
Nice.
Sega Genesis. It's upstairs.
Does it still work?
I believe it does.
That's awesome.
I'd have to find a TV that I could plug into, though.
Fair enough. Yeah, we only have ever as a
It might
console.
that one, to be honest. Because those have the red, white,
Yeah.
the red,
The
the
red, white,
RBG.
yeah, red, yellow, white.
Yeah, RWY, whatever it was called. I haven't had to say it in a while.
The RGB. Yeah. It was left and right audio and video.
Yeah, so that one has it. That, which is crazy. This is the old TV.
Yeah.
But
But we had a Sega Genesis as the pretty much the only console in the house growing up, and Mortal Kombat, Sonic, Streets of Rage, Sketchin', various.
do you have Earthworm Jim?
We did for a while.
I loved that game.
That game was awesome. I was never allowed to play because I was never allowed to play the game system in general because it was Johnny's game system.
It was Johnny, not a share.
Not when we were kids.
Okay.
It's a brother thing, you know. You don't touch my stuff.
I get that because my brother got the Game Boy Color for Christmas, right? When it had first come out, he got the Pokemon edition.
Yeah.
And I was not allowed to play that.
Yeah, just
You know what he gave
the
me?
whole "don't touch my stuff" thing.
You know what he gave me? The Game Boy Pocket.
Oh.
Which was like this big.
Oh yeah.
Did not fit in my pocket. And the only game he had for it was Mario Baseball, and it was in black and white.
Oh my gosh. Nice, very nice.
Yeah. So I had to wait another like 3-4 years. I think like once he hit middle school, then he was like, "Here, you can have it."
Yeah.
And then that's when I got like Silver. I just come out at that point.
So, the only other video game system was my grandmother had a couple of Game Boys, like the old green screen, black and white games, and she had Tetris, Super Mario, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Awesome game, so hard. I only got to like the third boss or whatever.
That was the Turtles that is now at Chuck E. Cheese, right? On the arcade machine.
I
Shredder's.
no
It's
idea.
like Shredder's Revenge or something. It was a side scroller, obviously.
Yeah, it was side scroller and you're doing all sorts of
I miss side scrollers.
I do too, man. I mean, I love me some Zelda, Breath of the Wild, and Tears of the Kingdom, but side scrollers were like
They were hard.
they were very hard. You had to like jump back and forth, and you couldn't go backwards enough, and you couldn't go far enough forward. It was hard.
2 games that I loved growing up playing was Aladdin on the Sega
Oh,
Genesis
yeah.
and Lion King.
Yes.
Both extremely hard.
Both also available on the Switch.
Are they?
Yes, I have them.
Oh, that's
So it
crazy.
came in a 2-game pack actually, where they
Okay.
came together. So I have Aladdin and Lion King,
I might have to look into that.
like the Sega Genesis version.
That's awesome. So, I think speaking of
those
video
are side
games,
scrollers, and
yes,
they're very difficult.
Very difficult. Even now, like
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm asking that. Are they still really difficult?
Oh yeah. Well, I've never been good at video games like most people, but yeah, for me they're really really difficult, and you only get 3 lives
Yeah.
to start with, and you have to build up your lives as you go. It's not like modern games where you have save points, where when you
There were save
game
points, I thought.
there were, but once you gamed over, you started from the very beginning. You didn't start from where you died.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't save points like they have in games these days. It was
I feel like levels are a little bit longer though these days.
Um,
You might
they-
be on an hour and a
yeah.
half level, as to like back then a level was about 15
Yeah.
minutes, and then
at the
mo-
most, yeah.
and then once you complete that level, it would save and
Yeah, it would save and you'd move on to the next one. But really, the only way to keep going was to keep collecting lives.
Yeah,
Occasionally, a game would do a hard save where it would be like, all right, you've reached this point, you die a couple times.
that typically means the boss was coming. They do a hard save
Yeah.
right before the boss.
Yeah, usually. But yeah. And that was usually after like 3 rounds of 3 levels, boss, 3 levels, boss,
Yeah.
3 levels.
It was like Bloom Tower
boss.
Defense.
Yeah, yeah.
If you ever played Bloom Tower Defense, that's typically how it plays. One of my favorite
Yeah.
games.
It's a very generic sequence. You got your 3 levels and then your boss. And then when it was time to fight the big boss, it was usually 3 levels, a boss, 3 times, and then on the 3rd time there was the big boss, and then you did that 3 times, and then you had like the final big boss.
So, speaking of Aladdin in it, they don't make like video games based off of like animated movies anymore.
No, not anymore.
I think
Uh,
SpongeBob was probably the last one. SpongeBob
They-
was saved.
So they do, but they don't at the same time. They make video games based off of movies and TV shows and stuff, but it's not the same way that they used to when we were kids in the
They
90s.
used to put a lot of effort into them.
Yeah.
I mean,
Now they're just like,
I mean,
meh.
well, Spider-Man 2 for the PS2 may be one of the greatest like movie adaptations ever created. I mean, it was just a fantastic game that you could
Oh,
play
yeah.
for hours.
I mean, they still like when Superman Returns came out in the early 2000s, they had that Superman game come out.
I don't even remember that.
It was
Not good.
Well, it's not that it wasn't good. It was that the 3-dimension steering was difficult. A lot of people had a lot of trouble with it.
Okay.
I never played it, but that's what I gathered from reviews and talking to people that had it. Spider-Man, of course, Spider-Man games, but they based those off of comics as well as the movies.
The newest Spider-Man is definitely more based off of comics.
Yeah,
It may even be its own original story, but
yeah. Most of the time they have original stories, but they've also what other?
they have Shadow of Mordor, which is based off of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, they have several Lord of the Rings games.
They need to remake the Lord of the Rings games, like
Yeah.
the 1, 2, and 3, because
Yeah, those were
those
were pretty cool.
fantastic.
those were cool. They were
They were multiplayer.
yeah.
Oh, they were so good.
What always gets me is when they try to make movies based off of games, and they don't follow the storyline of the game. They make up their own storyline for the movie.
That's the problem.
Yeah, they don't
It's
follow.
the same issue that taking animes and making them live actions. The same exact issues that the movie developers, they want to change who the characters are, and that's what we love about these games and movies is who they are.
Yeah,
You know, so like the Death Note movie, they changed completely who Light and L was. So that movie was terrible
No.
because Death Note,
I didn't watch it.
the drive of Death
yeah.
Note is Light and L, and they are the characters, not the actual story. The story's mid, but the actual characters are
Yeah.
so intense and well written that you just kind of love them. You know, L makes you're rooting for L for Light sometimes, and you're like, wait, he's the bad guy. I gotta check myself.
Yeah.
He's the one murdering everybody.
Yeah,
But then they change it, which just makes it not good. I think you get that.
yeah. They try to adapt it to their view of how it should be, and it never works out well.
Yeah, I mean,
Occasionally, So the best adaptation, in my opinion, was the first Mortal Kombat movie. The
Like the original one in the 90s?
original one in the 90s.
Oh,
the
those
one that
were
came
great.
out in like 94 or whatever.
Yeah, those are great.
94, 95. The first one. The second one was alright, but it wasn't as good as the first one.
The one on Netflix, I didn't mind it, actually.
The newest one was actually a really cool movie.
It was.
But they added
A character that's not in the game, but I'm
yeah.
okay with that.
I'm okay with that too. But they made him the main character, which is whatever, but they changed the story of the game to be whatever they wanted for the movie. So instead of they were given these special abilities because they were supposed to be in the Mortal Kombat instead of, being excellent fighters, and that being the reason they got into the Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. You know what's been frustrating me recently?
Hmm.
They're nerfing Batman. I don't know if you've noticed this recently, but Batman used to be the most prepared, could fight anyone, but now he's never prepared anymore.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
like they
no,
hate the fact that he's human and is able to keep up, so they've nerfed him in all the comics. But it's like the point of Batman was anyone could be him. So that's why people loved him.
Yeah. Well, he is the world's greatest detective.
And he's not good at detecting anymore. That's where Batman v Superman sucked.
Yeah, it was awful because Batman didn't see anything. He didn't
know anything.
He didn't know anything. He was like walking around like a blind man trying to fight Superman.
And he was way too emotional, which Batman's trained as a ninja, so controlling his emotions is like one of the key things he trained.
Yeah, he uses his emotion as drive, but not. He doesn't dwell on them. He uses them as fuel to fight.
Now,
it's not like.
I'm going to say something, and it's going to be controversial. People are not going to like this.
Bring it.
Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman is not a good Wonder Woman. She's nothing like the comic Wonder Woman.
Oh, that's fair.
Like, if you watch any of the animated movies, I don't know if you watch them on... I want to say
no.
HBO Max, but it's just Max now.
Yeah, now it's
If
Max.
you ever go on and you watch any of the animated DC movies, they are fantastic. Like, I highly recommend.
The DC animated movies are all top notch.
But Wonder Woman is not this graceful kind. She's a warrior.
Yeah.
Her answer to everything is to punch it.
Oh yeah.
And they completely changed her. That was one of the things that pissed me off the most in Batman v Superman. Wonder Woman is not stealing from Bruce Wayne.
No.
Or if she did, when she got back to her hotel, he'd have been sitting there like, you have something of mine. Because that's the most Batman thing in the world.
Yes.
Let you think that you got away with it.
No, the quote unquote Justice League movies, not good.
No.
Not at all.
Now, what I'll say is, I liked the Wonder Woman movies, but I don't think she's a good Wonder Woman. Not the second one. The second one, you know the problem with the second Wonder Woman is? You could take Wonder Woman out of it and put SpongeBob and Patrick and still do the same story.
That's fair.
Like, it wasn't a Wonder Woman story. It was just a moral lesson.
Yeah. That was true. The first Wonder Woman movie was pretty cool. The best part of the Snyder Cut was everything that dealt with the Amazonians.
Yes.
Everything else was kind of trash, but everything that dealt with Wonder Woman and the Amazonians was on point. Everything else is just like, it's on screen.
The other problem was, like, with the second Wonder Woman is, Diana she's a goddess.
Oh, yeah.
And she's naturally gifted, but in the second one they try to make it look like she struggled as a child, and it was like, no, she didn't struggle. That's why she was adored, because she was just good at everything.
Yeah,
like, and that's who her character is.
They wanted to make her more relatable, which I get, but
that's why we have Batman and Batgirl and Robin, because they are relatable. They are humans living in a world of...
Yeah, they're humans living in a world full of superheroes.
Yes. They are the Peter Parker of Marvel, where they're just like They're normal. Did you see the new Flash movie? Now that we're talking about DC,
I did. It was actually it was a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
This is what my thoughts were, and I want to hear yours if you agree. The story was really good, actually.
Yeah.
CGI was atrocious.
Oh, it was.
I've seen better CGI on sci-fi.
Yes.
Um,
It was. The reason that was is because there was so much CGI.
Well,
that and the whole baby sequence.
yes, it was so bad, man. I've seen CW sitcoms do better with infants.
So apparently they did it that way on purpose. They
don't
made
believe
it bad on purpose.
I don't believe them. I think they saw it and was like, "Oh crap, we have to put something out because this is terrible."
So their reasoning behind it being on purpose, at least what I heard, was that they didn't want people to be offended that the babies looked real. They wanted them to not be real babies intentionally.
That doesn't make any sense.
People get offended about everything these days.
Why are we working backwards? That doesn't make sense.
I don't know.
We used to work to make things more realistic.
No.
And it's not like the baby splattered on the ground. Then I would understand it.
Well, yeah.
But he saved them all. He did put one in the microwave, which was really weird and inappropriate in my opinion, but...
Yeah, I agree. When he closed that door, I was like,
I was like, there's a lot of electricity going around here. You better watch out.
Yeah. Don't press any of them buttons.
And the dog, that was funny. But then the dog looked fake too.
Yeah. Another part of their reasoning was that he was moving so fast that they would look weird anyways.
I've never read that.
It was just something
I don't believe
heard.
it. I still stand by it. They shot it. They ran out of money and they looked and said, "Oh, that's terrible. Let's just put something out there so people think we did it on purpose." Yeah. I don't give DC the benefit of the doubt anymore.
Fair enough.
I've seen too many of their animated movies that are fantastic.
Yeah.
I just think that the DC live actions don't understand how to make a movie. And I'm starting to feel that way about Marvel too.
Marvel's... The problem with Marvel is that they're continuing to go. I understand why they're continuing to go, but at the same time, it's like you're continuing to go.
Well, they
you
just
finished a fantastic story with building up to and completing the whole Endgame,
yes.
and yeah, that whole they built up to and finished it, and it completed a story and it completed a generation of stories, and that was awesome, and everyone loved it. But then they were just like, "We're gonna keep going."
I don't know if you saw, but Disney did just announce that they're going to cut back on the amount of Star Wars and Marvel films they make.
Thank goodness.
Some of it, I think, it's money because they're not making any money off of what they're doing.
Because they're putting out so much so fast and so frequently.
That's true, but they can do it.
People are just
Loki was fantastic.
People are just getting
Hawkeye?
drained.
Hawkeye not so much.
Hawkeye had moments that were good, but overall,
it looked like it was shot on a stage, and it was.
it had moments where you're like, "That's awesome" because of things that were tied into it.
Kingpin being the main one.
Yeah. That was part of what made... That was part of why I enjoyed She-Hulk so much, aside from it being hilarious.
It looked terrible, though.
Yeah. Visually, it left something to be desired, but the story was... It was good and hilarious, and the finale episode was like, what on earth is happening? But in a funny way.
Yeah. I don't know. I felt like She-Hulk was a bad attempt at humor.
I enjoyed it.
I don't know.
I enjoyed it.
I guess She-Hulk has a lot of really good comics.
A lot of people really didn't like it.
and I just don't know. Like doing a Hawk comedy just didn't seem. Why? Sometimes you just gotta ask yourself that. Why? Why are we doing this?
WandaVision was fantastic.
I did like
And Loki
WandaVision.
was really good.
Loki and WandaVision were top notch. You could tell they had really good people. Whoever did those should do all of them.
Yeah.
Only that team should work on stuff because
And
I liked Falcon and Winter Soldier.
it was good, but it felt like a drawn out movie instead of a TV short.
I guess also for some, like they're like the serum's lost forever, but then next thing you know, everyone has figured out how to make it, and it's like that doesn't even make sense. Now you're second, they didn't do a good job establishing how someone recreated it. It just magically, and now everyone has it.
Yeah.
And it could also be the cast. Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan, fantastic actors, and they have really good chemistry together.
Yeah, them working together on it was really good. The story felt like it could have been a movie. Instead of a 6 or 7 episode series.
Ant-Man, did you see it? Quantum Realm?
I did not see Quantum
So,
Realm, or
I liked
whatever it's
it.
called. I haven't watched it yet.
I don't know. I don't want to say it was great.
The most recent Guardians of the Galaxy either.
I liked that one actually.
Was it
I really
good?
did enjoy it. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be, but I really did like it.
Fair enough. The Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special was fantastic.
I didn't actually watch that.
Really?
I was supposed to, but I
It
never.
was hilarious. I want to give spoilers, but I don't want to give spoilers.
Actually, I'll watch it and then I'll call you and we'll talk about it.
Fair enough.
Well, maybe we'll do a follow-up episode and we'll talk just about that special.
It was really funny.
I think
Drax and Mantis were the primary characters.
focused. Ooh, good
Characters through
characters.
the story of the Christmas special. And they had a couple of really catchy Christmas songs.
That's great. That just sounds good. Because recently I've been thinking, I'm like, why do movies feel like they just aren't good anymore?
Yeah.
And I've kind of come to the conclusion they're not fun.
Yeah.
They're not fun. Like, I watched The Meg today. It was fun. It was really fun.
Yeah.
John Wick, it's fun. In like that violent way, but it's just a fun movie. Like, I'm not going in there trying to learn a life lesson. There's no good life lessons from John Wick.
No. Not at all.
Other than don't mess with his dog.
Exactly.
That's all you learn.
But it's beautiful violence.
It's well choreographed. You
Very
can tell
well
the people
choreographed.
that involved
they work
know what they're
hard.
talking about.
Yes, they work very hard to make it unique and not entirely realistic, but
I realized
solid.
social issues.
Yeah.
Not good for movies because social issues are one thing that not everyone agrees on. There's a million different point of views on every social issue.
Well, that's why a lot of people
So it makes
have been ragging on the Barbie movie.
But I don't agree with that because Barbie movie. So people are upset about Barbie movie being targeted for women. Well, Barbies were made for women.
Well, it's not that they were targeted for women. It's that it's what it was.
It's a movie by women for women, so guys aren't going to necessarily relate.
What is the word? I'm blanking. But it's the kind of thing where it's like men aren't as good as women, period, kind of story.
I haven't seen it, and I know some.
I
so
haven't
that's
seen
why
it
I
either,
don't want.
But that's just what I've heard about it.
I honestly, that's why I don't want to take that point of view because there are people that are just going to get upset
that's
about
just
things.
what I've heard about it.
Yeah, there are people that are going
That's
to get
all
upset
I've
about
heard about
things,
it,
and
though.
it's like, no, that's not what they were saying at all. Because people are sensitive for no reason.
People are way too sensitive.
The
for
people
no
that talk
reason.
about people being too sensitive are typically really sensitive too, which is weird.
True. I mean, I'm pretty sensitive.
I'm not very sensitive at all. I'm like, hey, just do you. As long as you're happy at the end of the day,
Yeah.
and you're not infecting other people, I don't care. You know?
Yeah. If you're not, you do you, unless it's harming someone else.
Exactly. But
If it's affecting other people's lives, don't do you.
then you have to be considerate, be humble, and
Yeah.
just like, all right, think about someone else for a change.
Do things that better the people around you and yourself.
But that's why I say, like, social issues, like, I'm not saying don't. When you make a movie about a social issue, make a movie about a social issue. Don't
That's
take
fair.
something that everyone wants to see and then put social issues in it.
Force social issues
Because
into it.
now
It's-
everyone doesn't always agree on that.
Yeah.
And then there's people that are somewhat in the middle, and then some people that are far one.
Yeah.
And so then you're always going to have controversy. But when I go see a movie, I don't want to feel bad. I just want to have fun.
Yeah,
I'm
you
going
wanna
to shut my
enjoy it.
brain off and enjoy a movie.
The only times that I don't want that to happen is when it's like a serious documentary kind of thing. Like,
Well, like Oppenheimer. Obviously, there's
Oppenheimer
Oppenheimer.
is based
it's a
on
moral conflict of whether they should do it or not.
It's based on facts. It's based on history, what actually happened.
Yeah.
A lot of the movie was pretty accurate to history.
They're going to Hollywoodize everything. Yeah.
They Hollywoodize it, but I mean they added a couple things here and there to like fill out the story or whatever. But overall, it's the closer to facts you stay, the better I will enjoy it, because it's like watching history unfold in front of you,
Yes.
which is important for people that don't get it through listening or through reading. They need to visualize it. And a lot of people, that's how they learn.
Yeah.
So,
History channels, I love watching their documentaries where
yeah.
they have the people reenact and they have the historians actually
yeah,
commentate. Oh, I love them so much.
yeah. It's just a fact of life that's how some people learn.
The visuals.
They're visual learners. There's auditory learners. There's tactile learners. There's and everyone runs the gambit a little bit, but overall, people are not just one. I mean, they're one or the other. They're overall.
But I think that's my point with it is when I go see a movie,
Oh yeah, when you
I don't want to think. I don't want to learn. I just want to escape. It's escapism.
Yes. Yes.
At least I don't want you to be advertised as escapism and then
have an agenda behind it.
yeah, I want to just go escape.
Yes.
Black Panther.
Yes.
With what Black Panther is, there's somewhat of an agenda on it.
Yeah, somewhat.
Like if you know the history of Wakanda, even if you read any of the comic books, you
yeah.
understand.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
even down to the point of he had to make the first Black Panther white because it was like against the law to make a black superhero.
Yeah.
So there was always a political on Black Panther. The Black
yeah.
Panther movies were amazing.
Oh, definitely.
They were fun.
Yeah. Very good. Very well made movies.
Because when you went to see it, you knew what you were walking into.
Yes. It was an established, these are the topics that we have to deal with because of
what the story
the context of the story and the characters. Other than that, it's just fun escapism.
Yeah, it is. Other than that, it is really fun.
I mean, it's
Chadwick
action.
Boseman, may he rest in peace. Fantastic.
Yes.
He was so good at it.
He was so good.
I mean,
he was
Michael B. Jordan as Killmonger was so good.
Oh, Killmonger, top notch.
I love the fact that he got his inspiration from Vegeta.
Is that where he got his inspiration?
He talked about he loved Dragon Ball Z and
Oh
he
my
was
gosh.
inspired by Vegeta as a villain.
That makes
So the whole
that
thing
makes it
about
so
him
much
being
better.
so prideful, it makes sense
It
now.
makes
You look
a
at it,
lot
you're
more
like,
sense the
with
way
that
that he
sand
played,
pride.
the way that he played the character. It makes a lot more sense, and I see a lot of Vegeta in the way he portrayed that character now.
It was so good.
It was very good.
Speaking of anime, tonight there's a really big episode coming out of a certain anime that I love.
Is it One Piece?
It is One Piece, and I can't wait. I haven't watched it yet, but I will, and I can't wait.
Because I remember seeing you post something about a watch party.
Oh yeah, I was like, who's trying to? I mean, this is probably the most anticipated like transformation since Super Saiyan.
Oh yeah.
You got to think, One Piece came out in 1997, 96,
Yeah, 96, 97, somewhere around there.
and this is his final transformation in 2023. This is when they actually start revealing like the main plot of the story, which is crazy that it's been like 20 something years.
Yeah.
It's so good.
That is.
But yeah,
That's
I know.
crazy.
I'm looking forward to it. I'll be watching it later.
I tried to. I started watching it. I don't know.
You got to get
some-
past the first like 50 episodes.
For some reason, you're probably right.
Once
You
you
have to
get to,
stick with it to get with it.
I'll tell you, you get to probably Arlong Park. Once you get to that arc, that's when you're gonna be like, oh, okay. Because the original like 50 episodes are all on 4Kids TV, so it's very childish.
Oh yeah. Well, it came out when I was in elementary school, and it was, you go home after school and you watch it.
It's much like Naruto. I'm sure you noticed that. Naruto got a lot more mature as it went on.
Naruto came out the same time as Pokemon and Naruto.
That didn't grow up. Pokemon stayed for children.
yeah, that's true. But it and Digimon and all those kid oriented shows.
Kirby.
Yeah, Kirby. But it just makes it a little tough to get through the initial setup.
Yeah, I know. I get that. So, our last topic.
Yes.
I remember me and you had this conversation, and remember I told you I wanted to get a tattoo, and we kind of talked about like what would I get, because we both talked about not just getting dumb, stupid, random things.
Yeah.
Well, the other day I finally figured out.
Oh, you figured out
I
what
figured
you
out
wanted?
what I'm gonna do, and I
Okay.
think it's the coolest design. I'll
All
be
right.
really mad if someone steals it. But what I want to do is get a video camera here on my hand, right?
Yeah.
And then up around my arm is going to be film, and in each block of film is going to be a different scene from different movies and animes that impacted like my imagination in film. And I thought like I could literally send that all the way up my back down the other side and then have like a film reel here. And I thought that would be the coolest tattoo that would actually
That would be really
mean
cool.
something to me.
That would be really dope. And yeah, you could, as your life progresses, you could, and things affect you, you can add to it.
Add no film. Yeah.
Just add film.
Yeah, just add films.
That's a cool idea.
Don't you think that's a
cool
really cool idea?
I like that.
I'd have to find a tattoo artist that's gonna like stick with me, because that's one that I'm
Yeah.
gonna want the same person continuously.
Oh, yeah.
Even though it would be kind of cool that each scene is done by a different artist, so everyone
So
looks
it's a little-
slightly
it's a little-
different.
Yeah, that would be kind of cool too, but I mean,
I'd have to talk to tattoo artists how they feel about that, because they, everybody, just like filmmakers and writers, everyone have different rules of the trade that you don't want to, disrespect. But I have some friends that do they do tattoos for a living, so I could talk with them and be like, do they typically mind, or are they gonna be like, no, that's cool? But yeah, I thought I'd tell you, because you have some nice tattoos.
Oh yeah, I have family crest.
The family crest. You have the hand, which is probably your most.
Yes, that is probably my favorite tattoo.
You may need to get that retouched. I can see it starting to fade a little bit. It's
So
old.
yeah, it's old, but it's actually been that way for almost since I had it.
Oh,
like
wow, okay.
a year after it.
Is that one
it's been
new?
Looking faded. No, I've had. This was actually my first tattoo.
Really? Why don't I remember that?
It says, "God is my reason for living," and it has a list of different things that God is to me.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
My
one.
Father, my Redeemer, my path, my light, my guardian, my calm,
All
my
the same person?
patience. Huh?
All the same person?
No, I had to get it done by a couple of different people.
Okay.
Just because the person that did the original part of it, the first part of it, they moved away to like I don't know, Georgia or something. I don't remember. And so I went to another artist to get more of it done. And then I have one on my shoulder that is a couple of hands like this holding a little bonsai tree, and there's a cardinal sitting on the tree and a blue jay flying away.
I don't know if I've seen that one either. We've been to the beach together, so
you've seen it, but it symbolizes God holding life in His hands, and the cardinal is myself, and the blue jay represents my brother Jay. He died when we were 18. He died in a car accident, and so him flying away is him leaving life, and I'm hanging around on that tree.
Well, Jeff, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man, I've had a blast.
I really have, and I definitely probably later down the line we're definitely gonna have you come back. We'll talk about everything that's changed.
Oh yeah.
Maybe we'll even get together with Jeremy and do our own campaign as an episode.
Oh, that could be fun.
Because with this podcast, I like to talk about stories and movies and films and music and
definitely
all the things that are super important to me.
Those are things that are important to me and Jeremy and Johnny. And
there's nothing like a good movie. Just like
movies. It's weird how movies have become an essential part of our cultural life.
Yeah.
Like they affect us in so many ways, and they influence us in so many ways.
For real. But thank you, Jeff.
Yeah.